just one last bit of bio on niacinamide
Yes.
and then a couple shopping tips.
Yes. So a super, super duper quick refresher on niacinamide. We've done a lot of work on this guy. Definitely check out our dedicated blog post if you're curious for more. But to sum up, niacinamide is our jack of all trades active ingredient.
Your vitamin B3.
And vitamin B3, it works for, it's such a popular product ingredient because it works on all sorts of stuff. It can actually help with hyperpigmentation. It works in a different path than a lot of other more popular hyperpigmentation ingredients. So it's a great addition to your pigmentation routine.
Yeah.
It can actually, it's one of the very, very few, if not only, proven ingredients to help with pore size reduction and sebum control at 4%.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, because this is the reason why it's in this episode, is because it helps with long-term skin barrier health. It's been tested to pair well with retinol to ease that irritation. In long-term studies, it definitely helps with reducing tool over time. So that is a really quick blip on everything niacinamide can do for you.
I did want to add, I think because people hear like jack of all trades, they think that it's like a one active solves all. And I would say that just to like manage expectations, I think these niacinamide helps in categories that like may not have a lot of solutions, but it's not like, I don't know how to explain it. It's not like a magical, like will solve everything like on its own kind of active. And I think that's like where people get confused.
Yes.
And it's also why they're dumping it into every product, you know, because I think you hear that, oh, it's like multi-benefit and you might as well just like use it at really max concentration and put in everything. But I'm sure for those of you who ever tried, you know, or maybe went down the niacinamide rabbit hole, you'll realize like, yeah, skin is better, but it's not like it's not solving everything.
Yes, for sure. So it's definitely, when we first started working on Chemist Confessions, we're like, oh, niacinamide is one of the big four. It's very proven, yada. But the longer we work and just seeing how the industry took it and ran away with it, like it's like a miracle cure-all, we're like, I mean, it's like it's almost like a supporting ingredient.
Yeah, exactly.
Cure-all.
Exactly. Like I would say for hyperpigmentation, if you were to compare it to like a retinol, you would see the benefits of a retinol much quicker than a niacinamide. But having them together is wonderful, you know? So I think that's like where people get kind of like confused in all of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a proven barrier care ingredient. And that's all we have to say about that. So,
so actually, yeah. So in terms of shopping for niacinamide, there's now that it's everywhere and it's like a mess. Let's talk about it really quick. I think, first of all, you'll find it in anything like even your cleanser, which
we are gonna say whatever. Yeah, if you see niacinamide your cleanser, which we've seen in a lot of new launches because it's such a hot keyword, brands are starting to put it in cleanser. What is it doing in cleanser? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter. That is not where you'll get your niacinamide benefits when we're going to move on from there.
So don't buy a cleanser just because you see niacinamide in it, basically. I think the other thing we briefly touched on is dial in on the percentage.
Yes.
Because it's already going to be in everything, just really try your best. Now the issue is try your best not to overdo it. You actually only need anywhere between 2 and 5%. So I think it's just, you know, for some reason, everyone's fixated on the 10% value.
Thanks, The Ordinary. Thank you.
No reason, rhyme, back up any of that to explain why you need that much. But yeah.
You definitely don't need that much at all. We have niacinamide in our Miss Reliable at a cool 2%. So it's very layer friendly. The reason why, and we get asked a lot, it's like, oh, okay, so we shouldn't overdo niacinamide, but what happens when we overdo it? It could be nothing, and it could be a slow buildup. Like, it's honestly a pretty vanilla ingredient compared to, say, a retinol or AHA, where your skin will definitely scream at you and let you know you've overdo it. Niacinamide, if you overdo it, a lot of times nothing happens. You're just not getting that additional benefit that you think you are.
Yeah.
But I will say, it is with every ingredient, it's still possible to build it up to a level where you are overdoing it. It has happened to me before.
Yeah.
And this brings us to our last third tip for niacinamide, which is do a quick decode on your product.
Yeah.
You might have one niacinamide serum. You're like, oh, I only have one niacinamide serum, therefore I'm not worried about overdoing it. But because it's in everything, you might find it in products that doesn't even call out having niacinamide and end up using a cleanser with it, a moisturizer with it, sunscreen with it, a serum with it, and it ends up adding up. And at least what happened to me when I tipped over on that niacinamide use is my skin got so irritated. It was just all of a sudden it just started flaking like crazy and developed the skin texture, kind of similar to what's happening now with my my sunscreen overuse. And that texture lasted for a couple weeks. It did go away. It was just a little red and itchy for a week or two, and I cut everything out of my routine and went back to a very basic moisturizer and cleanser routine, and eventually went away. But at least that's what happened to me. We've heard of people breaking out.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, for me, when I discovered that was when I'm on a heavy dose of maybe like adapalene or high level retinoid, and then using a cleanser with niacinamide. Funny enough, it's not really irritation. It's not really intense irritation. It's actually more like it's more like sensitivity. So you finish washing, then all of a sudden you feel like if you were to touch your skin, it's just kind of like it almost just there's a sensation there. And I would say, yeah, it's differing for everybody. Some people deal with redness, some people deal with texture issues. So there's no real defined like niacinamide overdone irritation definition or side effect. But I think that's such a good point. It's like you probably wouldn't even realize it until weeks of use.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So definitely just, if you don't need more than 5%, don't use it at over 5%. Why risk it?
Yeah. So I think, okay, there's a lot of formats that use niacinamide now. We should talk about our probably favorite format, and we definitely would have to say in a moisturizer, it makes the most sense to us.
Yeah, to us, it's a ultimate companion active.
Yeah.
That's also why we added 2% in Miss Reliable to kind of bolster the barrier care long-term aspect of it.
Yeah.
But because it's a easy place well with a lot of ingredients, type of ingredient, it doesn't need to be a dedicated serum.
Yep.
To us, that should be reserved for finicky actives like vitamin C or retinol that's really hard to formulate with other actives.
Yeah.
So yeah, moisturizer is our go-to.
And then probably less favorites, I think it's gotta be I don't need it in a cleanser, like you said, don't care. And the other one is there's a lot of like basically single niacinamide boosters.
Yeah.
Now that niacinamide's in everything, I just feel like it's not really necessary anymore.
Yeah. To have a whole step just to put 10% niacinamide on your skin.
Also, as a chemist, we can tell you that's like you're wasting a step when of all the ingredients that needs a single separate step, that's not the guy.
Yeah,
we can definitely tell you that's not the guy that needs that. So
for sure.
So that's it for niacinamide. In terms of other things we talk about, ceramide is definitely a big category to figure out how to shop for. I guess with all the ratios and needing cholesterol and all that.
Yeah, and this one's also really hard to decode because there's so many, right? Sometimes you'll see a product that has like 18 different types of ceramides on the bottle, but you don't really know if it's truly helpful. So first of all, we would say definitely don't shop again just because of the ratio. The classics like SkinCeuticals Triple Lipid or Epion's, they have their own clinical. You can take a look at that and use a clinical to help guide you on your purchase decision.
Yeah. There's also a new trend coming out where they're basically saying ceramides from plants.
Yeah.
That's a funky one. And we'll say, it's new tech that hasn't been completely ironed out. But like you said, or like we've said, the ceramide train is a move-in, so they're going to capitalize on every benefit possible. And so, if you hear about how these are plants with good ceramide components, Yeah, we probably wouldn't give it a ton of weight unless it came with some good testing. You still want to look for the ceramide actual ingredient label in the inky, because that's kind of a weird one that's coming out.
We're also starting to see ceramides are being put in a lot of different formats, right? Traditionally, you'll see a ceramide in a pretty rich, heavy cream or some sort of moisturizer. To us, those are still the preferred format because ceramides are these like thick, heavy, waxy components. That's
water.
Hate it.
Hate.
It's there to help your skin repel water. It hates water.
Hate.
Yeah. And that's why we have it in our moisturizer and a thick balm.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see things like ceramide toners and ceramide oils. We'll say these light fluid formulas, we have kind of our suspicions in terms of how much is actually in there. Also, what types of ceramides are in there and how helpful they truly are.
Totally. I think, and hear from us when we say, just don't really know how much is in there. I think I did want to share Ceramiden's liquid toner. And you can see, like, when you imagine toners, there are ceramide toners where it's just like a clear water-based liquid. And that is very funky to us. If you look at Ceramiden's toner, it's almost what looks like liquefied shea. And that we're like, okay, I kind of can see how that works. So hopefully that gives you an idea of like where to get your ceramides from versus better formats versus not great formats. Also, I think in cleansers, there's no, like, that would be so little because the price point would just it'd just be so expensive. Yeah. Even in like a cream cleanser.
I just think, and when I see it in a cleanser, I'm immediately like, if it's over 0.0001%, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So hopefully that helps you navigate the ceramide landscape that's going to be ever growing. Just wait till we hit fall. You're going to see a ton more launches. And then finally, let's touch on AHAs very quickly. Just more of maybe formats to try. I think for me, what I really want to talk about more is just like frequency. You know, normal skin, the cell turnover cycle should be pretty regular. I think maybe be able to tell them like when you need to like increase amount or maybe frequency and maybe when to dial back, maybe.
Yeah. So for me, me personally, the simplest way to remember frequency or level of AHA to use is a once a week wash off mask. Because your skin functions on like 2-week cycles. So once a week to once every other week on a more high level AHA, to me that keeps skin turnover at a good amount.
Totally.
If you use a toner level, so anywhere from 5 to 10% AHA like glycolic lactic acid, those you can use daily.
Yeah.
And most of the testing of its benefits is being looked at on daily use because it's so low level. It's only helping very calm, minuscule amount. So you don't need to, you need to use it at a higher frequency. I will say that one to dial up, one to dial back is a little bit funky. Like you have to pay really close attention to your skin. The once a week rinse off mask, to me, it's pretty simple, is after I use a mask, the couple days after, do I experience any sort of irritation? If I overdo it, I can just tell. Same thing as what Victoria mentioned about niacinamide is after washing, there's a sensation. It's not full irritation. Right? Yeah, it's just like a little. I'm gonna take a chill pill and take a break this week. Yeah. That's usually how I see it. When I need to dial up, for me, it's just like, man, this dullness it's starting to look real crappy.
So would you ramp up more than once a week?
I still wouldn't.
Okay.
I think to me that's
kind
still
of
risky.
like the limit.
Yeah, okay. That's still risky. And when I say dial up to more than once a week, that's definitely talking about using like a 20, 25, 30% mask. I still wouldn't overdo it even if my skin's like looking a little meh.
Yeah.
That's when I would kind of use the help of a physical exfoliant if I feel the need to like kind of slough off more dead cells, just because the risk of over exfoliating isn't worth it to me.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and you know, we even once a week we would say that's like it doesn't I guess how to say it. The frequency doesn't have to be once a week. There are people that actually do like high level masks once a month. And that's like good enough for them, and then they can like ramp up that frequency. Also, don't forget you're probably using other actives, so trying to find that schedule, it may differ for everyone. And this is talking about like high level AHAs, the 20% and upwards. Yeah, I just think there's just this, first of all, there's this pressure to maintain your cell turnover. There's also an addiction, I think, to AHAs. Because you love the way your skin looks the next day after you use an AHA, especially mask. Skin just looks that glassy look that you hear, glass
super
skin,
smooth.
all of that. Yeah, it just looks your best. And so I think people get addicted and they feel like, oh, I have to keep doing that. No. Like, let's be kind to your skin, please. That's something I feel like we refrain. Like, I actually felt the need to refrain from doing that when I was younger, because like with acne, nothing helps, fade it quicker than using AHAs, BHAs, and you just get addicted to that like fade faster, hurry.
It almost feels like a chemical shovel that gets in there, like lobs it out. You're like, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's like, it's so easy to overdo. So definitely just want to remind everyone of that frequency and how it is helpful to combat dry skin. It is helpful for a skin barrier, but you can always overdo it.
Cool. Well, we hope that was really helpful. As you can see, I don't think barrier care is a one product solve all problem. It takes kind of a full routine to think about it. Yes, and you will start seeing claims that it's a one product solve all category though.